Hey, it's Emily Williams, the founder of I Heart My Life and your host of the I Heart My Life show. This is episode 126, Why You Need to Go All In Life and Business. So this is a special training that I've actually pulled from our I Heart My Life membership. I wanted you to experience what it's like to be in the membership and the types of trainings you're going to receive on a monthly basis. Now, this is an important concept for everyone who is looking to go to the next level in any way. We have to be all in. And I'm seeing so many people out there dabbling, dreaming up big dreams, but never actually taking action, dipping their toes in the water. And I gotta tell you, that's only gonna get you so far. Dabbling effort gets dabbling results. So today we're talking about going all in your life and business and why it's so important to make that energetic shift. So let's dive in. This episode is sponsored by the I Heart My Life membership. We've designed this membership with you in mind, the woman who knows she's meant for something big. And yet maybe you don't quite have the budget to invest full speed ahead in one of our bigger programs. That's okay. We all have to start somewhere. It's so important to surround yourself with the right community, the right mentors, and the right material that are going to help you reach your goals. So we've designed this membership to be that one-stop shop for everything you need in terms of mindset and business success. Every single month, you're going to receive a new training on mindset as well as another training on strategy. Plus, you're going to get access to 2 Q&A calls on both of those topics. All of this is going to happen in a private Facebook group where you're going to meet hundreds of other like-minded, incredible women who are going for their dreams. So we've also added in an additional resource bank so that you get all of the previous coaching calls and all the previous materials right at your fingertips right when you sign up today. This program is open for a limited amount of time, so you're going to want to get in. The price is as good as it's ever going to be. It's a small fraction of what we could potentially charge for this, if I'm being completely honest. So you're going to want to take advantage of this incredible opportunity and join our membership. And if you don't like the membership, if it ends up not being the right fit, you can cancel and you won't be charged again. So go to iheartmylife.com and check out the I Heart My Life membership. Hey, it's Emily Williams here, and this is a training all about going all in your life and business. So let's dive in. So this training came to be because I've been hearing more and more from my clients and other people who are looking to start businesses that they don't know how to go all in. And sometimes people aren't even aware that they're actually treating their business like a hobby. And this is one of the biggest issues I see when it comes to sales, when it comes to being taken seriously in your industry, when it comes to attracting ideal clients and even going to the next level in your business. You're treating what you're doing like a hobby. And then you're wondering why you're not getting the results. And it's the same thing with people who want to change their life. They're committing to exercise routines or changing their diet or finding a relationship. But when it comes down to it, they're actually half-assing it, for lack of a better phrase. They're not actually all in. And they wonder why they're not seeing the shifts. So I want to really challenge you today to check in with whether you're the type of person who is all in, or do you have one foot in and one foot out? Now, again, maybe in some areas like your business, you are all in, but then when it comes to your life or your health, you're not exactly at that point. Obviously, this is not 100% across the board. There can be areas where you're stronger than others, but I want you to really think about your goals in this point in time and ask yourself, what would transform if you were all in? And we're going to cover that today. So the real truth is most people are half in or have their heads in the clouds when it comes to their life and their vision. Now, let's be real. It's so much easier for you to have this big picture dream or vision that just is consistently out there in the ether, floating around. It's fun to talk about. It's fun to think about. It makes you feel good when you tell your friends you have this big dream. But deep down, you know that you're never going to actually take any steps in the direction of that dream because you're scared, because you're worried of what people think. Regardless of what the reason is, you know, if you're being honest with yourself, it's going to remain a dream. Now, I understand that that might sound a little bit harsh, but I want you to get real with yourself. Of the dreams in your heart, how many of them are you actually going to take action on? How many of them are you actually going to move forward towards? And if you are honest with yourself, it's probably a small percentage. Or maybe you plan to take action, but you don't actually know the how. Now, I'm of the belief system, if you really wanted it, you would have it already. And when you operate with that belief, you have to understand that if you're not taking action right now in a certain direction, there is something holding you back. Now, that's a whole other training. You can go and check it out on my podcast, actually. There's a whole episode on if you really wanted it bad enough, you'd have it already. But what I want to point out today is that I know you are capable of big things, but there's a very small portion of people who will actually go all in. It's like when people attend conferences, even Brendan Burchard said something like 10% of the people at his conference will actually go on to take action after the 3 days or 4 days or whatever it is. So what category are you putting yourself in, or are you actually in when it comes to going all in your life and your business? So today we're actually going to talk about what it would look like if you are all in. So let's first take a look at your business or career. So you have to ask yourself, if you're running a business, would you want to buy from you? Are you showing up as someone who's treating this professionally, or are you treating this like a hobby? So many people are running businesses like that side hustle. And I know some people are just starting out, but I want you to ask yourself, what would shift if even from the get-go, even from the first time you got a client or when you launched your website, you truly saw this as a real established business and you saw yourself as a business owner? It's just like when you're out in the dating world, you have to see yourself as attractive, see yourself as desirable, see yourself as somebody who someone else wants to marry or be partnered with for life. Clients want to know that you are professional and that you're really doing this, not dabbling. And it's just like, say you're in the coaching space, right? You want somebody who's going to help you get results. If you had some sort of ailment or disease, you wouldn't go to somebody who is a hobbyist. You would go to somebody who is a professional and someone who is qualified and someone who loved what they did. And it's the same thing from your business. So are you treating this like a hobby, or what would it look like for you to go all in? Another simple example is processes. I know a lot of people, they just set something up and they're like, oh, well, it's good for now. And I totally understand that mindset. And in a lot of ways, I love the mindset of done is better than perfect. But really think about it when it comes to what you've set up structurally. What would take it to the next level? If you were fully in and you took this seriously and you saw this as not just a side hustle, not just a hobby, but that thing that's going to be around for a long time that you're going to devote your life to, how would that shift the energy and what would you change? The next thing to look at is your life. So just thinking about the people in your life. Are you trustworthy? Do you show up when you say you're going to show up? Are you on time? Do you keep your word? Do people know that you're actually going to be there for them? And putting everyone else aside, do you show up for yourself? Are you all in your life? Are you living life based on your desires? When you commit to protecting your sleep or not watching as much TV or exercising or whatever it is, doing something in your work, do you commit to that promise? Or are you somebody who's like, no big deal, I'll do it tomorrow? Your word is so, so important to the next level of success that you are craving. We have to start building that trust within ourselves. I remember a few years ago, I was speaking to one of my friends and she was in the health coaching business. And at the time, she was thinking about moving more into the business coaching side of things. And she had a lot of people interested in really understanding how she was able to build her business. And so she thought to herself, well, I'm going to launch a mastermind. And I remember I was so excited for her because it seemed like the right next step. And so we were having a conversation about it. And she said, well, I just look at it as like, I'm just going to dip my toe in the water. And I had to kind of do a double take because normally she's all in. And I basically said to her, what would it look like for you to be all in? Are you really going to just dip your toe in the water? Do you think that that's what's going to increase your sales? Do you think that people are going to be attracted by a program that's basically an experiment? And I know that we're all always testing, but what would it look like if you made a decision to launch something and then you went all in? I see this all the time with launches in particular. So I had a client the other day talk about the fact that I think it was a Wednesday when we were having a coaching call, and her launch, the doors closed on Sunday. And she was already talking about it like she hadn't reached her numbers. She hadn't reached her sales goals. And she was of the mindset that she wasn't going to. And I was really frank with her and said, well, if you believe that, that's what's going to happen. Right? So we need to really shift that mindset and go all in. And that means from start to finish until we reach that goal, until the launch is over, until the program is created. Okay. So what would it look like to be all in? And just imagine how that would impact your sales and your results. When you're dabbling, you're going to get dabbling results. We have to always think about the energy that's being transferred into what we're doing. When you show up and give 100%, you know that you're going to get 100% back. You know you're at least going to get something positive back. If you're dabbling, you're going to get dabbling results. I've seen clients go back and forth when it comes to their business. I've been in this industry long enough to see people start and stop many times over, and they wonder why they're not getting results. And you have to think about, if you were to just continue to move forward, how much would that change the game for you? Probably big time, right? I know it would be big time. And so when you think about the energy you're putting into your work, into the way you show up every single day, into your calls, into your trainings, into, everything that you do, if you're dabbling, you're going to get dabbling like results, and you're probably going to attract other dabblers into your client base, into your company. That's not what we want. So what are you getting from dabbling? One of the questions I want you to ask yourself, if you are starting to recognize that you're not all in, and by the way, this is not about making ourselves wrong. This is about having awareness that this is the way in which we're showing up. One of the things I want you to ask yourself is, what am I getting from dabbling? What am I getting from going in just halfway instead of 100%? Because if we're continuing to participate in any sort of behavior, that means we're actually getting something from the experience. So maybe for you, when you don't go all in, you're getting to stay stuck. You're getting to play it safe. You're able to avoid being visible. You don't have to worry about spending money and not getting the ROI, right? So really think about it. I want you to do some journaling around that. So what is it that you're actually getting from dabbling? Because you're getting something if this is the way that you're showing up. So let me give you a tangible example. So oftentimes when people don't go on Facebook Live, for example, I have clients who don't go all in. And even though we recommend that they get on Instagram or get on Facebook Live or whatever it is, and they don't do it, they're worried about what people think. They're worried about being judged. They're worried about negative comments. And so by dabbling and not going all in and following the coaching, they're going to stay safe. They're going to avoid any discomfort, any judgment. So that's what they're getting. So you have to ask yourself, what is it that you're getting? And ultimately, we want to get to the point where that thing that we're avoiding, it doesn't have the power, because the desire and what we want to create has the power. Now, again, I've done tons of trainings on desire. You can go and take a look at those. But I want you to really think about what it is you're getting from dabbling right now, and remind yourself that the thing you want, that desire, has to be greater than the fear. So what is the real fear? What do you feel will happen if you go all in? What's the truth? What's the thing that's blocking you right now that's causing you not to move forward full speed ahead? There has to be something. You are getting something from this behavior. So like I said, what's happening energetically when we dabble and we don't go all in is that the people around us don't actually take us seriously. If you're not taking yourself serious and you're not confident, then other people won't as well. So I want you to really think about the people who can feel the fact that you're not all in. When this is happening, your business doesn't make as much money. Your clients will feel that you're disengaged, or they won't have a positive customer experience. You won't be seen as someone who's an expert in your industry. And I know none of you want that. I know you don't want that. So really think about the difference that you see maybe in your relationships or when you work with people, when you know that they are all in, they're invested in the experience, they're invested in the relationship. It's very different to say somebody who's in a marriage and you know that there's one partner who's half in and half out. That's a very different experience. And that's what we're bringing into our businesses and our careers when we're showing up in that half-hearted way. We'll use that phrase instead. So first and foremost, I want you to evaluate your tendencies here. So have you been the person who tries something for a second and then gets bored? I know that so many of us as children, we did every single sport under the sun. And maybe you actually like that about yourself. Maybe you like that you have eclectic tastes. But at some point, if you want to get results in something, you have to give it your full attention. So obviously, there's a lot of research that's been done in terms of what makes someone an expert at something. There's a lot of schools of thought that say at least 10,000 hours. That requires dedication. And regardless of what you believe to be true about getting that type of result, whether it's 10,000 hours or whatever, you know that you have to be dedicated to something in order to be seen as an expert, in order to be seen as somebody who is all in. And so I would ask that you leave that experience from childhood back in childhood. You can still be that multi-passionate business owner or, person living a very eclectic life and be dedicated to certain things that are important, that are going to move the needle. Okay. So ask yourself, do you secretly like the fact that you move from thing to thing to thing? Is that part of your identity? Have you been told you're the person who always does that, who can never stand still, who can never be committed? And are you secretly wearing that as a badge of honor? And now it's no longer serving you? What are you making that mean about yourself? And I know some of these are quite deep. I want you to spend some time journaling on this if it's not immediately coming to the surface. This is really important work. We want to understand why you're participating in this behavior. And at the same time, of course, we don't want to stay in this place or dwell on the past or the things that aren't getting us results. So I'm going to share 7 ways in which you can go all in your life, business, and career. Okay. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to give you the list here. So look at previous successes is number 1. Number 2 is practice goal setting. Number 3 is commit to your goals and be relentless with them. Don't worry, I'm going to go deeper with all of these. Number 4 is hiring a coach. Number 5 is practice doing everything at 100%. Number 6 is focus on that person who you know is all in. Number 7 is observe the shifts and celebrate. So let's take a look at these. Number 1. So I know regardless of whether you're a chronic dabbler, there were times where you were all in, whether it was in your relationship or when you had a baby or that time after New Year's when you decided to get super healthy. There was a point in time when you were all in. I want you to ask yourself, what were you doing differently then? How were you showing up? What was your mindset? How did you get yourself to that place? Because we can always look at our previous successes to help us understand what we do well. And also, how do we set ourselves up for success? And don't tell me you haven't had any successes. I know that there's something. Maybe you aced a math test in high school. I don't care. Go back into the archives, pull out something where you were all in and you gave it your undivided attention for an extended period of time. Okay. And then ask yourself, what was different about that experience compared to now? What were you doing then that you aren't doing now? How were you showing up? What was your belief system? Number 2, practice goal setting. I want you to only commit to a goal if you're actually going to do it. If you've broken the trust within yourself, which basically means you've been saying you're going to do something, but you actually haven't taken action on it time and time again, there's no trust there. And just like any other relationship that we're a participant in, if there's no trust, that's an issue. That's a core issue. So we have to redevelop trust within ourselves. So maybe you start with something really small and once a week, you're going to email your list. You stick to it. Maybe you want to start making the bed every day. You do it and you stick to it. This sounds so simple, but the more you develop trust within yourself, the more goal setting you'll be able to do and actually reach those goals on a consistent basis. Okay. Number 3, commit to your goals and be relentless with them. So one of the most important things you need to develop is accountability to yourself. Obviously, this goes hand in hand with the step before this. One of the examples that I love to give is myself with exercise. So there are plenty of times where I could have done less than my allocated sit-ups. I could have been on the Peloton bike for less amount of time. But because I personally hired a personal trainer who has created a workout plan for me, I have all of this laid out right in front of me. And she's not here with me on a daily basis. And so I have to be accountable to myself. Now, this is where most people fail. They're not accountable to themselves. So do you hold yourself to a high standard, or are you consistently letting yourself off the hook? I see so many people letting themselves off the hook on a daily basis. Oh, you know what? I'll do Facebook Live next week. I'll send out that email another time when I feel like it. Most of the time when you're trying to create change, you're not going to feel like it. And you have to ask yourself, is this action in service to the vision, in service to the result that I want? And if so, there's no excuse in the book that I'm going to allow myself to buy into that's going to cause me not to take action. I'm going to stop letting myself off the hook. Because here's the thing. When I'm in the gym, I know if I've scrimped. I know if I've done less push-ups than was recommended. And that doesn't feel good to me. I'm not okay with that. So ask yourself, are you letting yourself off the hook on a regular basis? And how is that serving you? Remember, you're getting something from that, right? You don't have to accept that from yourself, though. Why are you making that okay? We hold other people to higher standards than we hold for ourselves so often. Even our clients, right? We're holding them to such a high standard. And it gets to the point where we're like, Do as I say, not as I do. Well, no, that's not okay. Do as I do. Be the leader, be the example. Okay. Most people don't hold themselves to that high standard. And if you can't, that's when you need to find somebody else to hold you accountable until you can do it for yourself. And that's where number 4 comes in, which is hire a coach. So be real with yourself. Are you going to do this on your own, or do you need someone to hold you accountable and motivate you? This is huge. Do you need somebody to hold you accountable and motivate you? If so, that's okay. Just be real with yourself about what it's actually going to take to get the result. That's far more impactful and much more intelligent to do than to be delusional about what it's actually going to take. Be real with yourself. I need a coach. I need many coaches. That's okay. That's why coaching exists. Most people need additional support. Do not make that wrong. You deserve that support. Number 5, practice doing everything at 100%. So like I said, this needs to become second nature to you. Maybe right now, your natural tendency is to be at 50% or 40%. Maybe only some things are at 100%. So you have to know yourself and see where you're showing up positively, where you're showing up as all in, and where you're not. And if we want to start with small things, like I said, you can start with making the bed. Do that at 100%. Don't just throw the comforter or the duvet over. Actually tuck it in. Practice making those little hotel corners. What about flossing your teeth? Do you do that maybe, I don't know, half of the days of the week? What if you committed doing that at 100%? So I love the phrase, how we do one thing is how we do everything. So really think about how that will spill out into the rest of your life or your business. Number 6, pick somebody who's all in. So who inspires you? Who's all in when it comes to their brand or their life or what they've created? Who is the epitome of what they preach about? I know that sometimes those people are annoying, but you have to admit that most of the time they are confident, and that confidence rubs off and they attract people into their sphere of influence. They see themselves as who they want to be, sometimes before they're even officially there. So we all know there are people who see themselves as much further along than they actually are. Sometimes we know that information, sometimes we don't. But how powerful is it to be that confident, to be all in? What if when you start your business, you're just as confident as you would be, years in, because you can see that that's what's coming up down the line? What if you operated today as a $3 million business instead of a $300,000 business, at least in your mindset, and you were making decisions from that place? That's what's possible for you. So if there's someone who you admire who's all in, take a look at how they're showing up. How are they living their life? What are they exemplifying? What are they displaying? And remember, you get to emulate that as well. And finally, number 7, observe the shifts and celebrate. So throughout this process, I want you to make sure to acknowledge the wins. So give your brain something to mark as progress. This is super important. We're not going to wait until we hit this ginormous goal to celebrate. Every single step of the way, I want you to mark it as progress and make sure that you are tracking all of those wins and the ways in which you are all in. The real truth is you are fully capable of being all in, but you're not allowing yourself to go there. Maybe you're protecting yourself from getting disappointed. The whole phrase, if I wasn't all in, if I didn't give it my all, it would be okay that I failed, right? That's one reason you could be stopping yourself from going all in. You don't want to be disappointed and you have an out. If you don't go all in, well, when you fail, it's kind of obvious why you failed and you don't have to be responsible for yourself. But do you see how backwards that is? What if you did give it your all? How much more likely would you be to have succeeded? Of course, much more likely. So stop giving yourself an out. And remember, as Robin Sharma says, all change is hard at first, messy in the middle, and beautiful at the end. You just have to keep moving forward. And it's totally possible for you to transform and go from that person who is dabbling to someone who is all in. Now, as for your homework, I want you to check in with how you're showing up in your life, business, or career right now. Get real with yourself. Are you all in? Okay. And if you're not all in, that's okay. But let's take a look at the areas where you need to be more all in. You desire to be more all in. And if not, what can you do to shift using the tools I've given you today? Okay. And then I want you to complete the membership workbook. All right. I'm so excited to see you go all in. This is going to change your world, your business, your life, your career once you get this. And once you start to redevelop that trust within yourself and show up as someone who is all in. I'll talk to you soon. I hope you loved today's special training. If you want more and want to learn about the I Heart My Life membership, go to iheartmylife.com/membership. We'd love to have you in the program and be able to give you trainings just like this on a monthly basis. And until next time, I'm Emily Williams, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and thank you so much for listening to the I Heart My Life show. We hope you loved this episode. Thank you so much for being an avid listener of the I Heart My Life show. Take a second and leave a review. It would mean so much to us, and we read all of them. And for further inspiration and life and business tips about creating a life that you love and achieving massive success, definitely follow us at I Heart My Life on Instagram and at I Heart My Life Now on Facebook. See you next time.